In April of 2012, Telltale Studios released the first episode of their now acclaimed series, The Walking Dead. While not the first game of its kind or even the first from the studio, the game grew quickly in popularity and earned itself multiple accolades and awards. How did this small licensed game take off so quickly? Well, let's see if we can't find out what made all the stars align for this game, using what we know from interviews, trailers, and announcements. Before we can jump right into The Walking Dead, we have to understand who or what Telltale is. They began as a small company creating their own original IPs, such as Telltale Texas Hold'em or Sam & Max. They got their first license for an IP that was not their own in 2005, creating a game based on the comic series Bone. This was the first of what they would become known for, episodic releases. In this format, a game would be broken up into sections or episodes and released over a larger span of time than a traditional one-time release. Gameplay-wise, this studio focused on point-and-click gameplay that also revolved around decision-based narratives. The studio also cites that the growth in digital downloads helped with the success in this format. After a few years of puzzle, Max, and CSI games using this format, the studio LucasArts licensed Telltale to create the fifth entry in their Monkey Island franchise. Things really started looking up for the studio when in 2010 they were licensed by NBC Universal to create games for Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and Law & Order. During the development of these games, Telltale also made a promise to only release the game digitally while the episodes are released, only getting a physical disc release once the season has concluded. While this method has since gone away, it was one of the first of its kinds. While all of this may sound like great success, going from a studio creating point-and-click poker games to creating games for NBC Universal's biggest properties, we haven't even gotten to the franchise that put Telltale on the map. In late 2010, Telltale wanted to get into the always growing and expanding zombie genre. To do this, they explored the route of another popular zombie franchise at the time, Left 4 Dead. This game would have been entirely text-based, similar to games like Zork. However, negotiations didn't work out with Valve, the studio that owns the Left 4 Dead franchise. This led to the studio entirely reworking the core aspects of the game and approaching another popular zombie franchise that had yet to make its way to the video game medium. In early 2011, Telltale announced that they would be partnering with Skybound Entertainment and Robert Kirkman to release The Walking Dead. This deal was massive at the time, not only covering the first season of The Walking Dead, but also ensuring multiple titles. As previously mentioned, the text-based gameplay idea for Telltale's original zombie game was thrown out. Instead, The Walking Dead would play similar to Telltale decision-based games like Back to the Future and Jurassic Park. While Kirkman had made the agreement based on the game using Telltale's decision-based gameplay, players weren't quite sure what to expect, as the game design for this first entry was kept a secret during the initial announcement. Many players questioned if it would follow the more action-like features of Jurassic Park or dialogue-heavy sequences of Back to the Future. The final product appears to be a healthy balance of both. Telltale themselves struggled to write the narrative decisions that players would have to make, as they wanted decisions to be hard. For example, Kevin Brunner, co-founder of Telltale, found that the narrative choices had to be made ambiguous in order to not cause the player to lean towards a correct decision. It wasn't until March 19, 2012 that the first gameplay footage and trailer for the game was released during IGN's Games Up at Noon, presented by narrative supervisor Gary Whitta and Robert Kirkman. This interview is also where it was revealed that the game would use Telltale's episodic release format and decision-based gameplay, and that it would follow the comics rather than the show, but still tell a completely new storyline. The release of the first episode could not have had better circumstances. Released April 24th, 2012, 1 month after the AMC show's second season finale, Telltale felt that this would be the best time to release, as fans would still be hungry for The Walking Dead content. As Kevin Brunner put it, the combination of the game being on all platforms at the same time and the TV show and the comic being fresh content that's coming out brand new has really let this take off. This proved right as episode 1 of the season became Telltale's highest selling game at the time, hitting 1 million copies after just 20 days. Sources such as IGN cited that the game's all-digital release may have been a large contributor to these massive numbers for the small studio. Consumers didn't have to debate digital or physical, stand in lines at game stores, or worry about the game selling out. They could download and play without ever leaving their homes. As you just heard, the first episode of Telltale's new zombie franchise was a hit, selling 1 million copies faster than any other game from the company. The excitement didn't stop there. Over the next few years, the game would sell millions more copies of episodes, with a huge total of 21 million episodes sold by July 2014. Along with all this financial success came the accolades. With many citing this as the point where Telltale made its turnaround, it makes sense that they would be awarded for it. The game found itself at the top of most players' top games of the year list, as well as some major awards. It received 5 BAFTA nominations, one of which was Best Game, and walked away with 2 of them. The game also dominated at the Spike Video Game Awards, bringing home 4 awards which included Game of the Year, Best Female Performance, Best Adapted Video Game, and Best Downloadable Game. While multiple seasons had already been confirmed by the deal made with Robert Kirkman, it wasn't to anyone's surprise that after the success of Season 1, the game received a sequel 2 years later. In total, Telltale's The Walking Dead went on for 4 seasons, concluding in 2019. With all of the newfound success from the franchise, Telltale gained popularity quick in the gaming industry. While The Walking Dead was their staple franchise, its success opened the doors to other licensed games such as Minecraft Story Mode, The Wolf Among Us, and 2 seasons of their own take on the DC character Batman. They seemed almost unstoppable at the time. Unfortunately, that was not the case. In 2018, they were forced to close their doors and let go of almost 90% of employees at the time. Things weren't looking good for the unfinished final season of The Walking Dead. Thankfully, Robert Kirkman stepped back into the picture with his own game company, Skybound Entertainment, and finished the final season. In late 2018, much of the studio's properties were purchased by LCG Entertainment, who revived the Telltale Games banner. Since beginning this new chapter in the company's life, Telltale has announced 2 future titles, The Wolf Among Us 2 and The Expanse, a Telltale series. While the future of Telltale may still be in question, one cannot disagree that The Walking Dead was an essential part of the studio's growth. They went from a small point-and-click poker game to one of the most recognizable studios in the industry. It may have begun with a text-based zombie game that never made it off the ground, but they ended with a franchise that left a footprint on the gaming industry forever. Thank you all for watching this quick little history lesson. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.